Yo, what is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Chris Chows is back, and hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. Got your fill of all the good stuff, but we got some good stuff today. Of course it is Start Sit lineup advice for week number 12. Outside of the contest that we're on Thanksgiving, we still got a boatload of stuff to discuss. There's lots of injuries transpiring, so there's going to be a lot of moving parts for your lineup this week. So let's get kicked off and waste no more time. Start Sit week number 12. So before we get started, smash that like button for me as we continue to grow this channel, the new channel for Cover One Fantasy Football. And also we got to discuss BetUS for all you betting fanatics like myself. Like I said, man, ATS against the spread. I am doing very well this season. Check it out on Twitter. My picks are dropped every single Saturday. But a 125% sign-up bonus using promo code COVER1 up to $2,500. Get in on BetUS. You won't regret it. It is a good site to get your bets in. But what do you say we talk about week number 12 Start Sit bye weeks? No team is on the bye week this week. 3 games on Thanksgiving Day that we did have. So we start off with these Arizona Cardinals taking on the LA Chargers. They get Kyler Murray back in the mix. Interesting stuff. They get Marquise Hollywood Brown back in the mix. So now we're kind of going to see how this offense is going to move with Hollywood, with D-Hop. Now with Kyler back in the fold, coming off the hamstring injury. I'm giving Kyler a low-risk play. I think the hammy's going to be good. I think he's going to be good to go. LA Chargers defense is somewhat beatable, and I think Kyler should have a decent day. Low risk play for me. James Conner gets a mid-level risk. I almost had him on a low risk. I think he's pretty safe this week to fire up against the Chargers, who, they're susceptible to the run as well. So I think Kyler and Conner could have a very good day, but I do believe we're going to see a lot of passing as well. D-Hop and Marquise, if Marquise is healthy, he should be able to at least pull coverage from D-Hop and Hop the other way. So I think that both D-Hop, he's a low risk for me, obviously, every week. He's just a target machine, target killer. You're going to see Marquise sprinkled in as well. I want to caution it just a little bit. If he's playing, I don't hate the start, but a caution the low floor just in case he doesn't have his football legs right underneath him at this point. Greg Dortch will likely be a mid-level risk with Rondale out again. I don't know why Cliff Kingsbury continues to bench this man. He's just done nothing but produce all season long consistently when he has had the opportunity. And Trey McBride, the rookie tight end, I had some hope and maybe believe that he could do something, but he's a high-level risk until we see target share come his way, and I don't foresee that happening this week against the Chargers. The Atlanta Falcons taking on the Washington Commanders, the Commies. Marcus Mariota, mid-level risk this week because that Washington Commander team is extremely good against the run. He's going to have a very difficult time, and if he's not able to pass the ball to Drake London, I really do fear for his life this week. The defensive front for Washington is very good. Mid-level risk for Mariota. I would look in another direction if you have that option. Cordell Patterson, mid-level risk. He's kind of pooped the bed the last couple of weeks, so I can't really trust it. I'm looking for better running back options because there are lots of them this week if you have them. Patterson, to me, I'm okay putting on the bench as well, as is Tyler Algier. Put him on the bench. Drake London, perhaps a flex play. I just don't like it overall, but he's got to throw to somebody, right? You got to believe now with Kyle Pitts no longer, active. He's on the IR based on that hyperextended knee. He's going to miss a lot of time, likely the rest of the season. There's no reason to bring Kyle Pitts back at this point. So Drake London is going to be the beneficiary of all those lost targets. Pitts was getting targeted. Anywhere from 6 to 9 targets per game. A lot of that is going to go to Drake London's side, so hopefully he will find the end zone for you as well. I don't hate a flex play, but again, caution that with some low floor. Zacchaeus, okay, high risk. And as this new Parker Hess, the new tight end that's going to take over for Kyle Pitts, I don't like it. High level risk as well. Move on for the most part from these Atlanta Falcons. The Baltimore Ravens taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars, coming off the bye week, those Jags. And Lamar Jackson really needs a get-right game in a big way. While he does have 9 boom games this season, the threshold for boom games for quarterbacks is 15 points, and he's got 9 of those so far this season. Very, very good. But we haven't seen the game take over Lamar type of guy in many weeks now. We haven't seen a 30-point showing in quite some time. It's time for Lamar to do something. Yes, this Jacksonville defense is still pretty good. I'm giving Lamar a low-level risk. I wanted to do the stud start, but I do believe that the front 7 of the Jags is very, very good. and they will be able to pressure Lamar quite a bit, especially with the fact that they haven't been able to find good excess in their run game. Kenyon Drake does get a mid-level risk. He had a big run called back, I should say, last week. Otherwise, his stat line would have looked a lot better. Gus Edwards does have an injury risk, and I'm putting a mid-level risk on Kenyon Drake. I mean, I think that if you had to, you could start him, but again, there's so many good running back options this week that you can play, and Gus Edwards, the injury risk, again, not sure if he's going to suit up at this point. He still is questionable with the hamstring and the knee problem, so, I mean, Drake is probably your guy for volume again. High-risk play, first time in a while for Devin Duvernay. I can't trust it. He just, he's being locked up. He's going up against the top defensive backs. Now with no Rashad Bateman, he's struggling. He's not able to get separation, and Lamar can't find him. So Devin Duvernay is on the bench or on the wire at this point. High-level risk. But Demarcus Robinson is the beneficiary of Devin Duvernay taking all that coverage. He's got a mid-level risk. Good PPR upside for this man. Potential end zone trip as well this week for Robinson, but Mark Andrews, low-level risk again. He looks to be off the injury report, and I want to see Lamar start feeding Mark Andrews once again on the regular with a little Robinson. And we got to see him, Lamar Jackson explode this week. I'm hoping it does happen and come to fruition. The Carolina Panthers taking on the Denver Broncos. This is going to be an ugly show. Sam Darnold, high-level risk. I mean, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, P.J. Walker, pick your poison. It's all very bad. I mean, Walker did have that one game where he was able to support this offense, but I mean, again, it's the revolving door of what do we do? What do we have? Sam Darnold, you're not playing him. You're not touching him, even if he does have a big game. You can't trust any of that. D'Onta Foreman, mid-level risk. He's fallen down the graces because he's had some, pretty tough games these past couple of weeks. I mean, he sprinkles in a good one, then a couple bad ones, and it's inconsistent, and it definitely is crippling your fantasy team at this point versus Denver's defense that still plays very good football. I'm going to say mid-level risk, and I don't hate a bench for a D'Onta Foreman. DJ Moore, mid-level risk. There is potential here because Sam Darnold was able to feed DJ Moore last year when he was the regular starting quarterback. I wonder if they're going to find that chemistry again. Mid-level risk. I think you can fire up a DJ Moore because someone, again, has to catch those passes, but caveat that they're playing Patrick Surtain and this wonderful Denver Broncos defense, so I don't hate if you're thinking twice and being like, I don't want to play this week because, I mean, it is a tough one. Laviska Shenault, Terrace Marshall Jr., boomer bust for Laviska Shenault. You're not playing him, and Terrace Marshall's got mid-level risk. Out of, between DJ Moore and Terrace Marshall, I think Marshall could have the better day just based on who's going to be covering him. So that's pick your poison for me. I don't really care for this contest right now for any of my start-sits because I don't believe in a lot of it. Tommy Tremble, again, I mean, he's one of my guys. I really do like his game. He's just not utilized enough in this offense. Carolina will see better days, and it's not going to be this week. I am moving on. The Chicago Bears taking on the New York Jets, and we got, a lot of storylines in this contest. Justin Fields likely not to suit up. I know I got him here on the graphic, but he's likely not to suit up with that shoulder injury. Fields did claim that he is dealing with a torn labrum and a separated shoulder. That is not good news. No bueno for a Justin Fields. Injury level risk. You're not playing him this week. Even if he did start, I would not trust it because, I mean, one hit and he's probably out of the game. So you got to think Simeon is going to be the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears, which will now inhibit everything on this offense. While Simeon has, NFL tenure and experience, I just don't like it whatsoever, even against a New York Jets team that is up and down themselves offensively. Defensively, they are not. They have their mojo, and they will bring the heat versus the Simeon. David Montgomery, because of that, is going to get a mid-level risk for me. Yes, he will get volume. They will rush the ball quite a bit, but like I said, this Jets defense comes to play every week. Tristan Ebner, still a high-level risk waiting for him to pop. You can't play that. Darnell Mooney, mid-level risk. I mean, Simeon's going to have to throw every now and then, but he's going to be locked up with Sauce. I think keeping Darnell Mooney on the bench is probably your best choice this week, as is Pettis and Claypool. I don't like it. High-level risks with a Trevor Simeon. Don't like it. Cole Kmet might be the only one, the viable option to start because he will provide the safety blanket check down and opportunity in short mid-level range for Simeon to get those comfortable throws, so he might get you some PPR upside. Outside of that, I don't really like the Chicago Bears without a Justin Fields. It is not good whatsoever. Let's talk about some good stuff, good teams. The Cincinnati Bengals taking on those Tennessee Titans, and the Titans are looking good again. This is a big test for Cincinnati, and they may get some good news. Jamar Chase may be back in this contest, even though Joe Mixon is out with a concussion. Injury risk for Ja'Marr Chase. I'll start there because if he suits up, you got to play him. This is just simple case, man. He's just a superstar. You have to play him when he's on the field. Will he suit up? I'm almost hoping they don't suit him up so you don't have to deal with that option. But if he does start, I do believe you got to play him, even if he is on a pitch count. They're saying the hip is good. They're saying he looks better, so we shall see. He does draw the questionable tag, but he's on, the mid-level side. It's either or right now. I haven't heard anybody suggest that it's a confidence either way. So, injury level risk. He could be on a big-time snap count and definitely hurt your team. It's going to be one that's going to suck, so you almost want to hope he sits out this week. Joe Burrow, low-level risk against the Titans pass secondary that is quite horrific, and they do give up a lot of plays. I think Joe Burrow is going to have a very good day, very strong day, even without a Ja'Marr Chase. Throwing a T. Higgins, who also gets a low-level risk. For me, I'm starting T. Higgins and Joe Burrow and not even looking back. Samjay P. Ryan, he's going to get the start, and he's got volume upside. So now all the Joe Mixon owners that did go out and use up the remaining of their fab dollars on a Samjay P. Ryan, you got to play him. He's volume upside against Tennessee defense. They're better against the run than they are the pass, but P. Ryan scored 3 tutties last week, and a lot of that was in the pass game off of a screen and dump off. So I think the volume upside for P. Ryan is going to be very good. He's a big body back. He's going to be able to handle the workload, so I would definitely fire up P. Ryan as well. Tyler Boyd, the caveat for Boyd this week is if Chase doesn't play, fire up Boyd. Obviously, if Chase does play, it's a little bit more risky. Now you're going to lose your target share. But again, it could be decoy-esque where they decoy Ja'Marr Chase and they throw more to Tyler Boyd. So I do like all 3 of these wide receivers. Just cautionary tale for Tyler Boyd if Chase does play. Hayden Hurst would lose a lot of his target share if Chase comes back. So you definitely got to watch that also for all the players that are thinking about starting a Hayden Hurst this week. Also, I do like Hayden as a player, but everything's determined on Ja'Marr Chase. The Cleveland Browns versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jacoby Brissett is the final contest as a Cleveland Browns starting quarterback at this point, unless Deshaun Watson comes in and gets injured, knock on wood. Mid-level risk for a Jacoby Brissett. He has not been bad this year. He just can't win games. He's serviceable, 13 to 16 points every single week, Jacoby Brissett. So, if you have been getting, very bad quarterback play under 10 points, Jacoby Brissett is one you could fire in there, and he's going to give you the minimum, 12 to 16 points, and you can't hate that. There are worse options out there than a Jacoby Brissett. Nick Chubb looks to, bounce back in a big way versus the tough run defense of the Tampa Bay Bucks, but I still got a low-level risk on him this week. They're going to have to ground and pound. They're going to have to set up the run game, and I think, obviously, Chubb, you're starting every week. You're not sitting that, man, but Kareem Hunt is a big problem for me. I got him as a high-level risk until he shows otherwise, and it's not even the skill set. It's not even what he's doing wrong. He's just not getting volume. He's not getting touches. He's not even getting the PPR work anymore, and that comes with the point of saying Donovan Peoples-Jones' role has increased, and that has come to the detriment of a Kareem Hunt, unfortunately for him. Amari Cooper gets a low-level risk. You're firing him up every single week, and he's good to get you 80 to 100 yards every single game that he does play. But Donovan Peoples-Jones, DPJ, he is doing very well. Mid-level risk for me. He's starting to creep up into that point where you can trust him in your flex, and I do like it in this offense. They're starting to, at least spread the ball around. When Deshaun Watson does come back, that might actually be even much better for a Donovan Peoples-Jones because he can just spread the ball around all over the field. Mid-level risk for a David Njoku. He came back from that injury, wasn't really targeted much. They were, getting his conditioning back, his football legs back. So I think this week we could see a lot more utilization for a David Njoku versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers linebackers that are extremely fast, so they got to make some mismatches on the field. The Denver Broncos, like I said, taking on the Carolina Panthers. Good God, do I have to do this game again? Russell Wilson, mid-level risk. You just can't trust it. He should be on the waiver wire every single week now. It's just, this offense is horrible. Nothing good is going to come out of this offense, even versus Carolina, who you think they should be able to beat up a little bit, but that defense is still pretty solid with the Panthers. So Russell Wilson, mid-level risk, I'm not touching it. Latavius Murray gets the only low-level risk for the Denver Broncos for me, and this is all volume determined big time because there is no other running back on this team anymore outside of Lat Murray and Marlon Mack. They no longer have Melvin Gordon. They cut his services, got him out of Denver. He is on the open market right now waiting to be signed by another team. Lat Murray, he's a capable running back. He's shown that his ability, a supreme goal line upside that he does possess every single week. So Lat Murray to me is quite safe against the Carolina Panthers defense, even though the Denver Broncos are, piss poor offensively. Marlon Mack, high risk. You're not touching that. Cortland Sutton, mid-level risk. he's got to throw to somebody. And, Courtland Sutton did decent last week. It wasn't great, above 10 points if I'm not mistaken. So mid-level risk. I think the target share will definitely be there. As is Kendall Hinton. He made a couple big plays, but it's just not good enough to support your fantasy team, as is Greg Dulcich. I mean, he's got a high-level risk after, popping off on the scene. I am not touching that man this week either. And, I mean, that didn't sound very good. I mean, touching him for fantasy football, oh, geez. Get your minds out the gutter, man. You stumble on some words, it just happens. The Green Bay Packers at the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers has just confirmed that he's been playing with a broken thumb for quite a few weeks now. That would indicate that we understand now why he's throwing the ball the way he is, missing his wide receivers, missing his reads. I don't know if the broken thumb is mental, but I mean, okay, fine. I'll take it for what it is. I'll take it. He's, somewhat honest, I guess. But Aaron Rodgers, mid-level risk for me against the Philadelphia Eagles pass defense that is extremely solid. They got to stick to the ground game. Aaron Jones is your best friend, Aaron Rodgers, and Coach LaFleur, give this man the ball. I'm giving him a stud start. I'm going on the ledge right now because the Eagles, yes, they do have a very good front seven. Now signing Ndamukong Suh and Laval. I mean, now you understand with Fletcher Cox. I mean, this front seven's a baller. But they got to get the ball to Aaron Jones' hands, and I think he's going to be able to, at least recreate the run game in the pass, short pass plays, and he's going to be able to break some runs from the backfield because this Eagles defense has been susceptible to big plays on the ground early on. So I foresee Aaron Jones stud start at least one end zone trip in this contest. A.J. Dillon, high risk. You're not playing him. It's not good news. Allen Lazard, mid-level risk, and Christian Watson, mid-level risk. I would play a Watson over a Lazard at this point because of the speed. I don't think the Eagles can keep up speed-wise with a Christian Watson, but again, when they are on point in that secondary, they are very, very strong, so it's going to be a lot of boom or bust in this game, and Christian Watson apparently becomes, Green Bay's new red zone threat every single week now, so I'm definitely firing up a Christian Watson. I would think twice about an Allen Lazard, as is Robert Tonyan, high-level risk. The tight end is such a bad position at this point for fantasy football. I think we only saw 8 boom games from tight ends last week, so not good news. You're definitely struggling to find a good streaming option. Robert Tonyan is not one of those, in my opinion. Houston Texans at Miami. I promise y'all, man, it'll get better in a second when we start talking about the good teams. But, I mean, Kyle Allen is now the starting quarterback for the Houston Texans. This is gross and ugly. You're not touching anything on this Houston Texans offense. Allen, high-level risk. Dameon Pierce, I mean, play at your own risk. I am telling you right now, I got a mid-level on a Dameon Pierce. I mean, and the Dolphins, coming off the bye week, they're going to be rested. They're at home, and I mean, they're there before they went into the bye. They're putting up over 30 points every single week. They got the run game working. They got the pass game with Tyreek and Waddle time. And, I mean, it's going to be very difficult for Dameon Pierce to even get any kind of traction, especially if Miami does run up this score quite a bit. They're going to have to throw the ball a little bit more, so you could see a little bit more of a Rex Burkhead. I do not like a Dameon Pierce this week. Sit him on the bench. Brandon Cooks maybe get some good upside because they will likely be playing from behind. He could catch you some garbage time productivity, and I got a mid-level risk on his services. Nico Collins, Chris Moore, Jordan Akins round out the high-level risks for wide receivers and tight ends on this Houston Texans team. I don't like it whatsoever with Kyle Allen. It's going to be a ugly show. No kidding. I'm sorry, Houston. I mean, better days will come eventually once you get a quarterback again with your draft picks, but I mean, this is not the week for the Texans either. The Indianapolis Colts taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday Night Football. I do believe it's on Monday Night Football. I didn't have it marked down here. I'm pretty sure it is. But Matt Ryan, Matty Ice, and Jeff Saturday, I mean, they're putting something together. I guess, they just needed some juice in that locker room to get everybody going. Mid-level risk for me. Pittsburgh's defense with TJ Watt back is obviously a different group, a different unit. High, productivity coming from that defense. Matt Ryan is going to be able to make some plays, though. I mean, the defense is not great. They're 3-7. They're struggling all over the field. But Matt Ryan, he's been here before. He's going to be at home. So I think that, it's a good situation for Matt Ryan to at least throw maybe 2 touchdowns, interception, and then maybe, 250, and they're going to lean on Jonathan Taylor quite a bit. But I do believe that Matt Ryan is startable this week versus Pittsburgh Steelers. Jonathan Taylor, low-level risk. He should be able to find holes to gallop through and make some noise. Again, I think he's going to be easily over the 15-point mark this week. Deion Jackson, high-level risk. As long as JT is there, you can't play him. Michael Pittman gets a low-level risk this week. Finally crossed the 100-point threshold here in fantasy football. if there wasn't so much disarray early on in the season, Michael Pittman would easily be in the 150 range right now. It just, all the quarterback shuffling, all the issues offensively, Michael Pittman, at least he's starting to get force-fed once again with Matt Ryan on the field. You got to love what you see in that respect. Alec Pierce, on the other hand, he hasn't been relevant since like week 3, so you can bench that man, keep him on the wire. Paris Campbell, though, does get a mid-level risk, and he will be utilized again in this contest. They got to make the mismatches, got to spread the ball around. Paris Campbell is a decent flex option this week. Mo Alley-Cox, you're not touching it because it is, again, Mo Cox, Mo problems, and it's going to continue. Jacksonville Jaguars taking on these Baltimore Ravens, like I mentioned, coming off the bye week. Trevor Lawrence is a good test for him, man. This defense is very, very good now that you got Raekwon in the mix. Baltimore does look a lot better defensively, and this is what Raekwon does. He masks a lot of inadequacy, what you need to see on this Baltimore Ravens defense. Heard a lot of Baltimore fans talking about, Patrick Queen, saying he's trash, he's not good. They were putting him everywhere on the field because they had nobody else. Now you see what Queen's able to do with a Roquan on the field. He's able to play his position. He's able to play coverage. He's a good linebacker, and all y'all should wash your mouth out for talking bad about Patrick Queen. But nevertheless, Trevor Lawrence, he will have his hands full. I do got a mid-level risk on this man. Travis Etienne, I'm giving him a low risk this week only for sheer upside. I think it could go very wrong. I mean, I should have said boom or bust, low upside or low risk, but I mean, it's Travis Etienne. Even if they get out of hand in the score, the score is out of hand for Jacksonville, they can utilize Travis in the PPR game because he's got the wheels. It is Travis Etienne. He is a dog. He's a baller. He's going to get his touches. He's going to get his opportunities, and he's got lights out wheels. Take it to the house anytime he has the ball in his hand. That's why I got a low-level risk, but do not be surprised if Baltimore does shut him down just a little bit early on. Hopefully he finds the end zone to save the fantasy day. Darrell Henderson, from the Los Angeles Rams. He got waived surprisingly. I don't know what the hell the Rams are doing over there with that running back room. First they like Cam Akers and they hate him, or Akers and they hate him, and then they're going to trade him, and then they decide to cut Henderson. So, I mean, you guys figure it out because I cover this stuff and I still can't figure it out. But anyway, high-level risk for Henderson. He's just not there long enough to understand the playbook. He might get a couple plays here or there, but he's got to get his feet wet before he plays. Christian Kirk gets a mid-level risk because the Ravens' defensive secondary has been gashed weeks before, so you got to say that the opportunity is there for Christian Kirk to have another very good showing in this game. Zay Jones and Marvin Jones do pull a high-level risk for me. I don't like them this week because the supportive pieces just haven't been consistent enough for me to trust. If you're going to pick one of these men, I got to, go on a flyer and say potentially Marvin Jones is the guy you want to play this week, but I don't like it whatsoever. Look in another direction. Evan Ingram does pull a mid-level risk. I do like that against this defense. I think Evan Ingram could be a mismatch they're not prepared for on this defense quite a bit, and the red zone trip could come. I do like that from Evan Ingram this week as we search for more streaming tight end options. Like I said, it's extremely difficult. The Kansas City Chiefs at the Los Angeles Rams, the broken Rams. And Patrick Mahomes continues his, magistry with what he does on the field. It's a magician. I don't get it. He's unbelievable. Stud start every single week for Patrick Mahomes. He's got 9 boom games this year. He's just playing lights out phenomenal. The changeup in the running back room is Isaiah Pacheco is the lead back now with Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the IR. Jerick McKinnon gets, the backup duties, the pass catching work. Pacheco gets a mid-level risk. He's going to get volume, but this defense still is able to stuff the run. So mid-level risk, I could see 10 to 12 to 15 touches, potentially 80 yards and maybe a touchdown, but they like to throw those little dump tosses to a Travis Kelce. So that's where the running back does suffer in this offense. Juju is coming back from the concussion, so I'm firing up low-level risk. The Rams season is done. They're packing it in, so you know that this defense is not going to play stellar, especially Jalen Ramsey. He does not want to get injured. He wants to, fly into the offseason now unscathed, so I like Juju a lot this week. I think he's going to come back from his concussion. He's going to see a lot of PPR work, especially with all the injuries to the wide receiver room. No Hardman, no Kadarius Toney. I mean, Toney again, man. How can you disappoint us like this? But again, Fine, your hamstrings are made of bubblegum, I understand. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, MVS, he's got a mid-level risk. They're going to have to throw the ball around. It's going to be a heavy dose of Travis Kelce. You know it's going to be Patrick Mahomes to Kelce. Patrick Mahomes to Kelce. Now it's going to be Juju again, and then pick your poison between MVS and Sky Moore. Sky Moore does have some PPR upside. Saw about 5 receptions last week. You did like what you saw. Patrick Mahomes was feeding him the ball on the regular. You did like to see that quite a bit. No kidding. And obviously Travis Kelce, stud start, 3 touchdowns is basically his floor at this point. The man is just a damn cyborg. The Los Angeles Chargers taking on those Arizona Cardinals and Justin Herbert. I mean, he looked good. They lost again last week, but he looked a lot better. He looks like he's over the rib injury, and now you can start trusting him once again. They just got to put it together in LA. They're just not there. It's like there's just something missing. They're a couple chemistry pieces away from actually being a very dominant team. Low-level risk for Justin Herbert. You're obviously playing him, but I think he has a very good day versus Arizona Cardinals defense that has seen better days. Austin Eckler, stud start for the Chargers this week. He should absolutely be lights out, blow up these Cardinals defensively, and I think he's very, very good this week as well. Could be one of the top running backs for the week. Keenan Allen, mid-level risk. I just want to see, he did well. I'm firing him up. You're not sitting Keenan Allen. He's playing. You're starting him. He's got PPR upside. He is Keenan Allen, one of the best route-running wide receivers in the NFL. Fire him up, but I'm just saying mid-level risk because I think, they're still going to, work him back. He's missing in action for so long. Work him back in the offense, get him a little bit more comfortable. But Josh Palmer with no Mike Williams, low-level risk once again. He's just gaining steam, man. You heard the coach talk about him, Coach Staley talk about him and saying that he's gaining the confidence of everybody in this organization. Josh Palmer was my guy going back to when he was drafted. I'm telling y'all, my scouting reports, I know it's not on this channel, but it was on my previous channel. I was all over the Josh Palmer bandwagon, all over the train. I thought his game was absolutely phenomenal. Low-level risk, we could see another banger type of day for a Palmer. DeAndre Carter does get a high-level risk, but he's going to be playing. You're not playing him yourself, but he is going to play in replace of a Mike Williams. Gerald Everett, for me, though, does get a stud start. He is off the injury report with that groin, and every tight end cooks Arizona, so you're firing up Gerald Everett with high levels of confidence. He should easily have a touchdown like Kittle had 2 last week in Mexico, so we'll see how that goes. But the Los Angeles Rams taking on those Kansas City Chiefs, like I mentioned. And this roster, good God. We're talking about Houston's roster. This is almost as ugly. Bryce Perkins, high-level risk. I'm rooting for the kid. I hope he does well. I just, you just don't know what he can do on the field just yet. So rooting for him. Don't expect a whole heck of a lot, but good luck to you, young buck. I hope you do well. Cam Akers, mid-level risk, is now the running back for the LA Rams once again, now with no Henderson. Mid-level risk. I'm not touching it. Don't like it whatsoever. Even though they will run decently, teams do run decently against Kansas City Chiefs. I just don't like Cam Akers right now, especially in this offense. He didn't want to be there, and now they're going to forcibly use him. I don't like it. But Kyren Williams does get some boomer bust appeal this week. I think this is kind of the MO for the Rams. They want to see what they have in Kyren Williams. Everybody's down on the guy because he ran a poor 40 in the combine. And, he's a good football player, man. He catches the ball in his hand, and he's able to make plays. It just hasn't come to pass just yet. And we'll see if Coach McVay does scheme up a lot more to his side. Allen Robinson, he does get a injury designation with an ankle. I don't like it this week. Even though Perkins does have to throw to somebody, I'm putting high risks on all these mothers, all these wide receivers. High risk on Robinson, Jefferson, and Skoranek. If you had to, yes, you're playing Robinson, fine. I don't like it. Don't advise it. I can't stand it. It's just gross and ugly. Tyler Higbee is on an injury with a knee as well, but he's likely going to suit up in this contest. He's the mid-level risk for me because he is, again, the tight end is the safety blanket for inexperienced quarterbacks looking for the check down, looking for that safety blanket. And okay, you could fire him up, but it's, again, this Rams offense, they're going to be throwing, so you got to understand it's going to be a lot of garbage time productivity because the Chiefs will likely have a 50-point lead in this game. I'm being facetious, but it's going to be a very lopsided score. No kidding, man. The Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. Derek Carr and these Raiders, winning in overtime. Walk-off, to Devontae Adams. Gorgeous pass. I don't know how he got that wide open. Blown coverage. Derek Carr, mid-level risk versus this Seattle Seahawks secondary that has been absolutely phenomenal this year with the young ballers in Woolen and Kobe Bryant. They look very strong. Derek Carr is going to have his hands full, and it's in Seattle. It's a very tough road game for them to play as well, even though they have been underachieving 3-7 this season. You don't like it, but I mean, Derek Carr, mid-level risk. I don't hate the play, but I don't like the play overall. Josh Jacobs, if he's up, if he's going to be playing, he's questionable with a calf injury. He's definitely a low-level risk for me. You're firing him up every single week. He's just awesome this year. In injury designation or not, you're firing him up if he's starting. Davante Adams, likewise, low-level risk, but I want to see, it's Davante Adams. I get it. I want to see what these rookies do against Davante this week. If they shut him down at all, man, Pete Carroll's going to have, everybody coming knocking on his door to understand the genius that he created after trading Russell Wilson away. Just absolutely magic what he's been able to do. Mac Hollins, high-level risk. Keelan Cole, high-level risk. You're not playing these individuals in this contest. Foster Moreau does get a TD upside grade for me this week. He was kind of not utilized this past week versus the Denver Broncos. I think they get back to it a little bit. Davante Adams needs a little bit of help and support, so I think Foster Moreau is going to be the key to that. Let's talk about these Miami Dolphins. And as for us Buffalo Bills fans, it is squish the fish. But, I mean, the Dolphins, you got to give credit where it's due. They're playing good football, okay? And everybody, okay, we understand the Tua Tagovailoa thing. Doesn't have the elite arm, but he's playing damn good football, okay? He's making the passes when he needs them. Outside of the Pittsburgh contest where he had, 5 dropped interceptions, he's cleaned it up. He is playing at a high level of football. Low risk for Tua. I think he's going to have a very good showing as well. We got no Raheem Mostert. He is doubtful with the knee. Likely not going to suit up, so fire up Jeff Wilson everywhere you have him. Saw some of the comments where people are asking, who do I play? Is it Travis Etienne or is it Jeff Wilson? And it's such a tough one for me. But versus this Houston defense that is so bad versus the run, I don't see how you cannot start a Jeff Wilson. I'm so confident in this performance this week for Wilson that I got a stud start for this man this week. He's got 6 boom games this season, half of that with San Francisco, obviously. But, I mean, this offense is so good. They don't see any stacked boxes because of what Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle do. And, I mean, for me, Tyreek Hill, stud start. Jalen Waddle, low risk. Mike Gesicki, high risk. I don't like the tight end. It's too volatile for me. But Jeff Wilson, Tyreek, Jalen Waddle time. They're gonna do a lot of damage versus Houston Texans defense. You got to say, and, I mean, Tua's going to show again, and everyone's going to jump on the bandwagon saying Tua's elite. Look at the level of competition, and I mean, Tyreek and Waddle do mask a lot of inadequacy, but he will have another very good day. You can fire up all those gentlemen this week because they will have a very strong performance. The New Orleans Saints at the San Francisco 49ers, and the 49ers look like one of the best teams in the NFL just based on how this roster is constructed at this point. We'll get into them in a minute. But Andy Dalton, I mean, playing on the road again, what'd I say? At home, he looks good. On the road, he's not so much. And I mean, mid-level risk. The 49ers defense is a baller. They're good. They're going to put a lot of pressure on Dalton. They're going to have to set up the run game. Alvin Kamara's been up and down this year. I mean, Chris Olave's trying his best. One of the best rookies. My guy, CO2 is the nickname. I mean, he used to wear number 2. That's why I'm sticking with it, okay? He changed the number. That's not my fault. I made a good nickname. Or we got Big Play Lave. I mean, you guys pick one. But Alvin Kamara, low-level risk versus the 49ers. They're going to have to, I think the PPR upside needs to increase for an Alvin Kamara. Start checking down to the man, dump-offs, and get him some runs if the run game is not working. I still got low-level on a Kamara. Low-level for Chris Olave, CO2. It's a little bit of a risk this week, though, as well, because I don't know if Andy Dalton's going to be able to, forcibly give him the ball. We'll see. I still like Olave to play this week. Start him up this week. He's just been too damn good, and the consistency continues to grow. He's got 6 booms this week or this year, so it is good. Jarvis Landry did come back from injury, looked good, looked decent. I got PPR upside for him. I think he's going to be a decent option for you in full PPR leagues. Could get you that 10-point threshold again. I think it's quite safe in my opinion. Juwan Johnson, man, like I said on the waiver wire video going back to Tuesday. Mid-level risk for me. He's creeping up. I think he's like the tight end 8.5 PPR right now, and they're starting to utilize him. He's a difference maker on the field. He's a very big individual, and he's a giant mismatch in the red zone. Definitely fire up a Johnson. Taysom Hill is still that boomer buster, kind of moving away from the Taysom Hill experiment in New Orleans at this point, but Johnson and Olave, definitely good plays this week for the Saints. Even if they are losing, they're going to have to continue to throw the ball, but that 49ers defense is legit, like I said, so there might be some issues there as well. The New York Jets taking on the Chicago Bears, and Mike White has supplanted the Kuka Killa. I mean, very sad for Zach Wilson. I mean, just terrible play on the field. He needs to sit back and learn and understand the game. Maybe he doesn't care. I don't know. Everything just did not look right when Zach Wilson was on the field. Mike White gets a start. He is a high-level risk. I think Joe Flacco should have been the quarterback for this team, even though it does not promote, growth in any young player, because Joe Flacco is basically, on his way out. But I mean, Mike White really, we've seen, the good games, we've seen the really bad games, but Michael Carter gets a mid-level risk. They got to run the ball against this Bears team that is susceptible to giving up good rushing yards. James Robinson, I wanted to say mid-level, but I'm going to say high-level because I think they're just going to stack the box on a Mike White, and they're going to, force them to pass. So we'll see how it comes. I don't like James Robinson this week, but I don't hate a Michael Carter. Garrett Wilson, mid-level risk. I think he actually could go off. If Mike White has a good performance, Garrett Wilson could be that guy that you're looking to, because the Bears will be, in tough this, and Garrett, the way he was talking about, Zach Wilson, he was one of the angry ones, saying we got to be better. This offense just ain't working. I think Garrett Wilson's got a fire under his ass right now, and they're going to be pushing very hard to, move the offense. Elijah Moore, still high-level risk. Corey Davis, high-level risk. Tyler Conklin, mid-level risk. Again, tight end, safety blanket, inexperienced quarterbacks that need the support. Tight end is the key. Conklin, I don't like the start, but I mean mid-level risk. He could get you the 6 to 8 points this week. But Garrett Wilson, it's definitely a high risk, but I do think it could potentially be a very big game for a Garrett Wilson. The Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football. Jalen Hurts, stud start every single week. I think he's the only quarterback to have, he's one of two, I believe, to only have a perfect boom record for fantasy football games every single week. He's got 10 out of 10. And that is incredible for what he's doing in this offense. Stud start once again. Green Bay's defense, yes, the secondary still is very strong, but they are beatable, and I think Jalen Hurts will try to find it and will utilize his legs once again. Miles Sanders, low risk. They got to get him going. I know I could put I could almost put a mid-level high risk here, but I believe that this Packers defense, they're going to be so terrified of the pass with an A.J. Brown that they're going to have to pull back the safeties a little bit, and Miles has not gotten going. I still messed that up no matter what. He hasn't been going very well, okay? I'll put it that way. But he has not been playing very well the last few weeks. Low-level risk. I think this is the game to get back to the run, get back to the good books with a Miles Sanders. A.J. Brown, low-level risk. He needs a good get-right game as well. Hasn't been playing very well of late. 137 points right now on the board for an A.J. Brown. The dropped interception that, tipped off his hands into the defensive back's hands last week. I mean, it was all not good. He fumbles the ball. It's just he needs a good, solid contest to get everything, all the spiders out of the head, and they're rattling around. Devontae Smith is the main beneficiary for all the lost targets for a Dallas Goedert. He will get him again this week. He is a safe play. Him and A.J. Brown, definite safe plays. Quez Watkins, Jack Stoll, definite high-level risk. Watkins is a high boomer bust every single week, just based on his speed. You can't trust it, but definitely Smith and A.J. Brown should have very good days this week as well. Kenny Pickett for these Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Indianapolis Colts. And small hands Pickett, he's finding his way. I almost did it, man. Low-level risk. I almost did it. He's getting to the point that you can start him in fantasy football. He's playing well. He's throwing the ball around. He's finding chemistry with a George Pickens. Not so much with his other wide receivers, but I mean, George Pickens is his guy, and Pickens is repaying him for putting the ball in the correct placement. Kenny Pickett, to me, right now, I feel against his Colts defense can be started this week if you're in a pinch and you require a quarterback. 15 to 20 points is not out of the question anymore for Kenny Small Hands Pickett, and I like him this week. Najee Harris gets back in the good graces, finds the end zone, had a very good day last week. Mid-level risk for me against the Colts defense that still has a very good front, and they will pressure the Pittsburgh Steelers a lot this week. So Najee's stat line could once again see 15 for 35 and potentially a touchdown. That's kind of what you're hoping for, that Najee saves his day. Jaylen Warren, high risk. He's dealing with a hammy. I mean, Deontay Johnson, he's a high risk. What can you say? You just cannot trust what Deontay's doing because Kenny can't find him. And, I mean, he's not getting open enough for Kenny to feel comfortable. Like I said, George Pickens is your guy. Low-level risk and a Pat Freiermuth. The Muth is definitely low-level risk plays for me. These are the favorite targets right now for a Kenny Pickett. Most chemistry that I've seen from him is to George Pickens and Pat Freiermuth, so definitely fire up those individuals in that contest. The 49ers, like I said, one of the best teams right now, looking like, we say it on paper, but they're showing it on the field. Kyle Shanahan, scheming up everything he wanted to do with a CMC. We got a low-level risk for Jimmy Garoppolo. He's looking like Tom Brady back there, chucking the ball around, to all of his wide receivers, spreading the love, spreading the wealth. We got Brandon Ayuk scoring. We got Kittle scoring. We got Debo moving. It's nice. 49ers fans got to be excited, man. Jimmy G, low-level risk. I like it versus Saints. I think that the Saints have a lot of injuries, and it's going to be Jimmy G. Again, it's so difficult to defend. Pick your poison. Short dump-offs to the running backs, short dump-offs to Debo, find the end zone on a good route to Ayuk, go mid-range to George Kittle. I mean, what else can you say? So let me rhyme this off for you. Jimmy Garoppolo, low-level risk. It's okay to play him this week. CMC, stud start. You're always playing CMC. Eli's got a mid-level risk. Eli Mitchell, he's going to get his touches, but it's not good enough yet, so I would still say bench in Eli Mitchell, even though I got mid-level for him. Debo Samuel, he has not played great as of late. He did miss time with a hammy. I still got low-level risk because it's Debo. He's going to find the end zone eventually. Brandon Ayuk, low-level risk. I mean, it's all green on this sheet right now. He's finding the end zone. Brandon Ayuk was one of my sleeper candidates coming into this, coming out of the offseason when I was preaching up, who do you have as your sleeper wide receivers? Ayuk was my guy, and I mean, he's been so good this entire season. Outside of, early on contests, Ayuk is good, low-level risk for me. George Kittle, low-level risk. This offense is going to be very difficult to stop week in, week out, and these New Orleans Saints will have their hands full. No kidding about that. The Seattle Seahawks taking on the Las Vegas Raiders, and I mean, again, Geno Smith, low-level risk, coming off the bye week versus a porous Raiders defense. He's going to have a very good game as well, man. Stud start for Kenneth Walker III. He's going to gallop all over this Raiders team. You don't like to see it if you're a Raiders fan, but Kenneth Walker is elite. He's coming off the bye week, fresh legs. He's going to do wonders on the stat sheet. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, both get a green mark. Low-level risk. I'm firing up both these individuals if you have them. Will Disley, high risk. Noah Fant, high risk as well. The Raiders defense just is not good, and if Geno Smith actually has a letdown, I will be disappointed because this is shaping up to be a very good contest for the Seattle Seahawks offense, man. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I can't talk today. I'm making mistakes everywhere. But nevertheless, man, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Cleveland Browns coming off the bye week themselves. No Leonard Fournette. Uncle Lenny is doubtful with a hip injury, the hip pointer. So it is Rachaad White time, low-level risk, volume upside for this man. You're firing him up everywhere you got him. Tom Brady, I'm firing him up where I got him as well, low risk. He's kind of found that mojo, found the chemistry again. Like I said, a couple weeks back when he did bring the team back late in the contest, it's just what they needed. They needed something to fire him up, get the chemistry rolling. I think Tom Brady's pretty safe this week. Mike Evans, low-level risk again. He has had something of a dropping problem this year. It's not been great, but it's not been, overly crazy. Still got you just over 100 points right now. You want to see that increase, but this offense has been sputtering early on, so hopefully they get in the good books versus the Cleveland Browns defense, pass defense that has not played well this year, man. Mid-level risk for a Chris Godwin. I'm firing up Chris Godwin, and I'm firing up Mike Evans this week. I think it is very, very safe. TD upside for a Julio Jones. Never thought I'd say that in my life, but in this offense, what is he here for? To catch touchdowns from Tom Brady. So TD upside for him if you are, stuck at the wide receiver position, which you should not be because there was no bye weeks this week. Cade Otton gets a good floor once again. Full PPR leagues once again with the receiving core back to health. He is only trustworthy in full PPR leagues. Half PPR, you're not going to, like what you see. Anywhere from 5 to 8 points, not good enough for Cade Otton. In full PPR, that goes up to 8 to 9, and that's a decent play for a tight end streaming service. No kidding, but that is Tampa Bay at that point. Tennessee Titans taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, like I mentioned. And they're impressive, man. I mean, with Ryan Tannehill, as long as Ryan Tannehill's playing good, play action pass is working. He looks good. He's able to force feed his wide receivers. I said before they went into the bye week that it was time for or last week I should say. I'm stumbling once again because I said Treylon. They played on Thursday, I believe, is what stumbled me there. But Treylon Burks is the guy I said they needed to force feed to see what they had in this man on the field. The play-action pass was working. The run game was working, and Treylon Burks ate. This is going to be now your MO for this offense. Burks was drafted to replace an A.J. Brown. Now you kind of see what I'm saying, what I've been saying about a Treylon Burks. He is a grown man, if you know what I'm saying, and he's going to be able to do it. He's got the speed. He's got the finesse. He's got the route run. He's got very good hands. He's got contested catch ability. Treylon Burks is a dog. Once he fully understands how to play the NFL game, you're going to understand what I'm seeing in this man when I scout his film, because he is that good. Mid-level risk for a Treylon Burks. I think I'm only putting the mid-level because I want to see it happen once again. I want to see it in back-to-back contests with a Tannehill, force-feeding a Treylon Burks as the primary target in this offense. I am playing Treylon this week. I don't hate the streaming service of a Ryan Tannehill as well. Obviously, stud start of the week is King Henry once again. Every single week, this man is basically stud start. Bobby Trees, Robert Woods, low-level floor. I don't really care for it. I'm not playing him. He should likely be on your wire anyway. I missed the boat last week on Austin Hooper, but I mean, one boom game out of what, 10? I mean, it's a fluke at this point. Unless Austin Hooper is actually integrated in this offense, more in the red zone, more in the play-action pass, and, him going out making his route tree. This is what I suspected it was going to be all season long. They just haven't done it. Austin Hooper, high-level risk until I see it, in back-to-back contests. He caught 2 touchdowns last week. I just don't think that's sustainable in this one. But Treylon Burks and Ryan Tannehill and a Derrick Henry look very good for me this week. Finishing it off with the Washington Commanders. The Commies taking on the Atlanta Falcons. And Tyler Heinicke, I mean, again, mid-level risk. He's the gunslinger. He's the guy you're looking for. Antonio Gibson, I mean, can you play a Heinicke this week versus Atlanta? Absolutely you can. And I think I'm pretty comfortable in saying that 15-point threshold should happen easily with a Tyler Heinicke. Antonio Gibson, low-level risk. I mean, he's got 7 boom games. They went back to the well. Gibson has been the better running back in this offense this season as Brian Robinson continues to try to find his footing, find his path. Mid-level risk. He is somewhat TD dependent. Brian Robinson at this point where Antonio Gibson is giving you the volume and the yardage to pay you back. Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, low-level risk. He's got the chemistry with Heinicke. He's the number one option, 117 points. His stock has been increasing over the last 3 weeks. Now that they named Tyler Heinicke the starting quarterback of this Washington Commanders team, I love it for Scary Terry. He is definitely a low-risk play versus the Atlanta defense that has, they got fight in them. They're not great. They got fight and they battle, so they got heart, and you got to always account for heart. But Terry should have a very big day. Curtis Samuel as well, mid-level risk. I love the PPR upside. Full PPR leagues fire up Curtis Samuel. Half PPR, I'm still okay putting him in my flex if you have him. Jahan Dotson, I give him a sleeper play this week because I think the issue is with Heinicke, can he support all these pieces? It's not that Jahan's coming off that, hammy, the issue that he did have, but can Heinicke support 3 wide receivers and have room for the running game? It's a tall task, right? I mean, he's not elite at this point. He's a very serviceable quarterback who has an arm that can run the ball as well. Heinicke is. So can he support Jahan Dotson? I just feel like this is an opportunity. They got to get him back. It's been a couple weeks now off the hamstring injury. Definite sleeper appeal. Could see at least 2 deep shots go his way. Hopefully he corrals one in the end zone. But again, I want to see it first before I preach it. So definitely put Jahan on the bench. But he does have sleeper appeal this week versus the Falcons. Logan Thomas, high risk. He's dealing with ribs and he was, dealing with an illness. I don't like it this week. So move on from a Logan Thomas. So there you have it. That is week number 12. Starts at lineup advice for fantasy football. And like I said, please do me that favor. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button so we can grow this channel as we're just starting out the new digs on Cover One Fantasy Football. And I mean, I appreciate everybody that does watch and support. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, and give me your starts and questions. I'll definitely answer you back. But we'll see you next time. I am out.